Hello and welcome to The Quest on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Rakhee, Bakshee. In this show, as you know, that we keep talking to leading personalities. Each week, we bring a new guest for you, and the guest this week with us is the national spokesperson of the BJP, also prominent politician, also a journalist, a writer, Mr. MJ Akbar. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So since now you are speaking for the BJP also here, Delhi elections are something that is, all eyes are on there. I mean, what's happening really? Because we just hear that the Supreme Court has given some more time. People think, I mean, the other parties like Aam Aadmi Party and Congress, that BJP is not in a position to really form the government, so it's delaying. So it's kind of a tactics that's playing on.
Well, why don't we concentrate on the by-elections? The by-elections are due. The by-elections will indicate, right, and will establish the nature of the House.
But there's some time that has been given now. I mean, the court will again hear like some more days.
You see, the court is privileged to do what it likes. The political process continues.
No, so as the opponents would always say, and kind of that's their job to say also, that why, if BJP is so confident it has come in a majority from the national government, why can't it really, if it really wants to make another government in one of the states, like you've already done in two other states, Haryana and Maharashtra, why can't it do that in Delhi? And why isn't it confident?
Well, you know, I don't know who you mean by the opponents. One opponent has been decimated so badly it doesn't have a head to raise. That's the Congress. And the other opponent is a maverick party called AAP, which actually, since you have a short memory, right, did have a government and ran away from it. I don't think they have any authority. The whole situation in Delhi is a total consequence of the complete irresponsibility of a maverick called Arvind Kejriwal, you know, whose only, I think, relationship with public life is talking, not doing anything.
Do you think?
So, I mean, we don't have to take all this very seriously. The elections and the democratic process is a very serious process.
So, as you mentioned, by-elections, how much are you hoping? I mean, I would say that BJP as a party is very, very optimistic right now with all the success stories it has in terms of, you know, winning in all these states that elections have happened in. So, how would you look at it?
If you have a Prime Minister like Narendra Modi, why would you not be optimistic? His leadership has won tremendous applause from the people. And the people are supporting him, are in a mood to endorse his presence. They want him. So we shall see.
Let's try and deconstruct this whole success for a while, and let's look at Haryana and Maharashtra, where BJP has done really well, especially in Haryana also. How would you look at this success? I mean, what would you think was the turning point or the game changer, so to say, in terms of the success for BJP?
I think the confidence shown by the BJP leadership, which is the Prime Minister and the party President Amit Shah and the senior leadership of the party, which took the decision basically to go it alone and understood that the ground situation, the ground reality in both states had changed. While we were very happy with our allies there, because they have been partners in the past, we just indicated to the allies that they should recognize that there is a new ground situation. And reality suggested that everybody sort of refocus, as it were, on the nature of the partnership. Unfortunately, that was not possible. The BJP showed the confidence to go it alone, and the results are before you. What we said before is actually became visible with the results.
You know, when you say ground situations, the changing ground situations, what exactly would you mean? I mean, having also been an observer and a prominent journalist, how would you look at these ground situations changing in the current context? I mean, are we seeing a change of pattern somewhere as to how voters think? I mean, what would you say?
Well, you're absolutely right. We are seeing a massive change in voter attitudes. You know, we are seeing a new demographic. We are seeing that the weightage within the voting communities is shifting towards the young in particular. And the young are voting for aspiration and delivery. The young are moving away from the traditional patterns of which we have analyzed for so many years. And but this always happens. You know, the great thing about a democracy is that no election is a repetition of the past. If it was only going to be a repetition of the past, why would you need elections? So the thing is that the dynamic of the movement has now become much faster, much pacier.
No, but would you also say that somewhere development, which was mostly maybe at times used as a rhetoric, is actually a reality that is being worked upon?
Yeah, but aspiration means development. That is the absolute, in a sense, the game changer that you're talking about. Aspiration means economic empowerment. It means economic empowerment across all lines. And hence the Prime Minister's great slogan, development for all. You know, simple, succinct, but caught the mood of the nation. That we don't want competitive development in the old sense of a fractured nation. What we want is a united nation in which everybody benefits from development. And that is really the healthiest manifestation of a democratic ideal.
And another question would emerge is that, do you think that this whole theory of populism, the caste equations and the arithmetic of elections, are we again seeing a change there? I mean, would you say that it's going away, something which has been the traditional way of politicking in India? And how elections were held based on, these strategies, based on all these calculations of caste, layers of caste that one worked upon, or religion or other categories or class. So would you say that it's going away? It has kind of really been sidelined to a greater extent than ever?
Democracy is an evolution. It's not really a sharp revolution. So change also retains elements of the past, even as it creates a new future. And that is a process which makes democratic elections such a fascinating and even actually a political joy to watch.
Yeah, I think we'll take more on that, and we'll continue to talk to you, of course. We are talking right now to Mr. MJ Akbar, but right now taking a very short break. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. You're watching The Quest on Rajya Sabha TV, and we are talking to Mr. MJ Akbar. You also talked about the leadership Prime Minister Modi has shown. Some would say that it's again Prime Minister Modi, Mr. Modi the campaigner, Mr. Modi the Prime Minister, who's being seen all over. In fact, there is a talk about whether he goes out and he is in the campaign mode, and whether, as a Prime Minister, he then, of course, does his own duty. How would you look at this kind of a suggestion which people or observation people are kind of making?
I don't know which unnamed people these are, but in any democratic system, the Prime Minister is ipso facto the most prominent leader, the most prominent presence in both governance and in campaigning. After all, that is the leader's job, and that happens in any system. I think Britain is headed for elections. Right, it is David Cameron who is going to be the voice as well as the effective face of the Conservative Party. So this is. For example, look at America. What is the president all about? So these are drawing room criticisms which are created by the chattering classes of Delhi in the absence of any real criticism.
And some would also say, again, to take it a little further, you have rightly answered, is that on PMO, look at the PMO, some would say it's become really stronger than ever, that, everything has to be kind of heard there, everything has to be brought there to take a final approval. So, we are seeing, maybe it's good, but, this is what is happening now.
Why would the person who has the responsibility not, sort of exercise that responsibility? Power is not an aggressive display of ego. Power is a very, very humble responsibility. And this is what the Prime Minister understands, that it is he has to ensure that the system functions. But he's also doing some very interesting, energizing the system, energizing governance.
He has a team.
Because in the last 10 years, governance, leave aside, I'm not talking about governments, the governance deteriorated. The systems deteriorated. Accountability disappeared. You had a cabinet in which cabinet ministers were sending tweets and sending SMSs. Astonishing. I have never, if somebody had told me a few years ago that this was indeed possible, I would not have believed it. There is an official Secrets Act. Cabinet is a secret meeting. And heaven knows the kind of indiscipline that was rampant.
So, but they are supposed to be responsible, and then they're supposed to be taking their own decisions once.
Well, they are, indeed they are. Ministers take their own decisions. I think recently everything is a cabinet decision, and the Prime Minister is the head of the cabinet. So, whatever changes come, programs come. The other day at the parliamentary party meeting, we saw presentations by the finance minister, very eloquent, very persuasive about what he intends to do, what he has done. We saw by Nitin Gadkari ji about, infrastructure and so on. We saw the Labour Minister talk of, his ideas.
Is this a new kind of governance that we're watching now? I mean, or do you think India is now again coming to a new scenario where it's watching its ministers giving presentations now, becoming more social media savvy?
It's not, it's clarity. Don't confuse the medium with the message, right? The medium might be here, but the message has to have clarity. The message has to have focus. There is content to governance. And that content has to be exercised in specific plans. I mean, this is not governance in the air. This is not governance as khayali pulao.
So this is the same governance which is talking about transparency, bringing down corruption.
This is good governance.
Bringing down corruption. So when we're talking about this whole black money talk which is going on. There has been a list submitted, but now public information is being sought. How would you look at this, where a subject which is untouched is coming to the fore?
It's absolutely in consonance and in harmony with the Prime Minister's very strong commitment. I think if he's remembered, he will be remembered for many things. So one of the things he will be remembered for is that statement, na main khaunga na khane dunga. We've had 5 months of the government so far. Not one corruption, not one corruption story. You look at 5 months of the UPA governments, you had 5 months of corruption stories. So that's the difference.
Yeah, so but do you think this black money debate would also, open up Pandora's box? It's not only...
If it opens up a Pandora's box, the problem is for Miss Pandora.
No, I mean to say certain fingers sometimes point
I hope,
within,
Yeah, I hope you recognize who Miss Pandora is.
No, I do get the point. I do get the point here. But, bold step and something that I'm sure had been thought about. It was one of the issues in the election also. Now, of course, things are being worked upon. But as my question, and here I would like to repeat again, is that do you think it will, put fingers within? I mean, where...
I don't think so at all. I mean, it's very clear and it will be obvious that, whatever the list, for example, of foreign bank accounts are, I mean, our party has nothing to do with it. Over and over, I'd like to point out one thing. According to the Swiss National Bank, information perhaps on their website, certainly it was released into public. In 2013, just in the Swiss banks, and mind you, these havens, there are sanctuaries for black money all over the... Swiss are only one of the many havens. Recognized havens. There are all sorts of places across the world, small islands and so on and so forth. The Swiss National Bank said in 2013, there was a 40% jump in black money and in illegal money. Now, who was in power in 2013? Where were the big scandals coming out? Who were the big operators who were passing out money? I mean, I can name any number of scandals.
So do you think all this will create a new idiom? We are also talking about a new scenario where, earlier there were these hush-hush kind of talks, even with corporates, I would say, and this whole nexus that one talked about. Do you think there is a new kind of idiom, a new scenario being made within that whole, phrase of governance, which people should be?
Absolutely, absolutely. This is a scenario of accountability and honesty. It's quite simple. I mean, this is the scenario that, our founding fathers spoke about. That, power is a responsibility, power is honesty, power is service. Power is not acquisition of wealth. So,
but to elaborate, I mean, how does this whole cooperation, I mean, that's the right politically correct word, if I may use, with the whole corporate atmosphere. It was the corporate, lobby which said that, policy paralysis and all these phrases came because of that. So do you think
Yeah, I think systems have now become transparent. If anyone, I just now the other day, somebody in the corporate world, on a social evening was saying it. He said, all we do is we send the letter, right? There is a response and things happen, right? What is the need for cozying up to each other? The government
it's all straight, you're saying.
The government is an enabler, is a facilitator, and the government is a guardian of public interest. That means the government has no right to allow the corporate world to indulge in shenanigans, in corruption, in turning NPAs into a personal, wealth
and
platform.
you're saying it will happen. I mean, it's happening.
That is the process. That is what we are seeing. We're seeing a tremendous effort in making this happen.
Okay, so there's much more again that we need to talk to you about, but right now we are talking to Mr. MJ Akbar on The Quest. You're watching Rajya Sabha TV. Don't go away. Welcome back to the show. You're watching The Quest. We are talking to Mr. MJ Akbar. Politically, again, I would like to go back a little. Of course, these are two successes in Haryana and Maharashtra, very good. But look at the whole political arithmetic. You also had elections in Bihar, where some of these parties came along together, which nobody thought of. So some of these combinations maybe in other states are being built up. I mean, people are, of course, desperate to kind of try and come together, whatever way. How would you look at that happening?
I think the word you used is perfect. This is the politics of desperation. And the politics of desperation is very rarely sustained, cannot be sustained. Because eventually when the assembly elections happen, let's say in Bihar, people will have to choose a government. People will not have to choose a ramshackle alliance between, individuals who cannot really provide stability. And everywhere in the country, if you see one thing, and I've been arguing this, even when the projections were being made in the two states, I said you will see that whoever offers stability of governance, and stability is very important for the people. Do you know why? Not only because it ensures good governance, but it also removes all alibis.
Yeah, get it.
So people say, all right, we're giving you a stable government, now please deliver.
But look at Maharashtra, I mean, how it all happened, I mean, the Sena factor. And now, of course, what we hear later is that they are saying, let us be in the swearing-in ceremony. So how would you look at this? Again, everyone thought Sena is big in Maharashtra. Now that BJP will come, Sena will,
No, I think this is a partnership, and I'm sure that at many levels these problems will be sorted out. Because, everyone, at least within the ruling establishment, the new ruling dispensation, everybody is absolutely determined to provide a stable and clean government. And that is good for the people of Maharashtra. And those political parties, even those in opposition like NCP, recognize this, that if they, become disruptive, the people will punish them. It's a political decision and a wise political decision. You cannot be, anarchic in opposition.
Yeah,
right?
sure. So these are the ideal situations we always look for as what's happening to, this whole RSS versus BJP kind of thing happening.
The versus is a completely unnecessary word.
I would like you to say that.
It's an irrelevant word. Because, the two belong to the same family, the two work in harmony, and it is very evident. There's nothing, it's all in the open.
Yeah.
And I think the Prime Minister has the support of the RSS.
They are watching something new, or is it that RSS now is coming to the fore in terms of many things, many such platforms that one is watching them?
The RSS they are nationalists, they are interested in good governance because they know this is good for the country. Can you imagine the alternative if we did not have a stable government now? If it had some rickety government which was unable to govern? Look at the despair that would have, overtaken the people. And I think, like any nationalist today.
Yeah, so here I would like to weave into a little bit of, not really much, but a little bit of personal thing. I mean, you have been a scholar, a secular person within that public domain as a journalist, scholar, writer.
This is the other problem. You see, what is so difficult about being secular? The Prime Minister has defined secularism, did so when he began the election campaign. He said over and over again, now if people don't want to hear, I can't blame the Prime Minister, over and over again, that, we are a democracy. The temple of this democracy is Parliament. Right? The book of democracy is the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India is a secular document. What better definition of secularism that can you get than him going out on the campaign trail and saying that I want to see Muslims who have a Quran in one hand and a computer in the other. This is it. When he says development for all, this is it. We don't want tokenism. I tell you, the minorities and
using the word
Muslims.
tokenism, and let me take the liberty of asking another question there. Of people expect more representation when you're talking about bettering lives of any community, any section or class. You want representation. One would ask BJP as to where is the representation.
Well, that's again an evolving process. After all, I happen to be a national spokesman of the BJP. Right? Is that representation or not representation? I am a Muslim. I'm very proud to be a Muslim. I'm very proud to be an Indian Muslim. Do you call that non-representation? I mean, but yes, there is an evolving process, and as more people come in, I'm sure, governance is, after all, always a work in progress.
Let's talk about some of your literary work also, and you've written so much, of course, Pakistan and all these. In fact, I would say areas of where someone would find trouble, Kashmir also, but you're trying to see another angle, and Kashmir is also going to elections. How would you look at your own, first of all, literary career? Are you giving it, again, more important space to work on?
My books have always traveled on a path parallel to my career. I did not stop being editor in order to write books. So, the books are something, I've called them, I said the books are, for a male author, books are an equivalent of labor pains and birth.
You have said it, yes.
Yeah. Oh. And this is the only experience we have, of the enormous, physical and psychologial meaning of giving birth to something. And of course, what the woman gives birth to is far, far more strenuous, far, far more deep, in the human psyche and in the experience. The book is no comparison, but still, this is the nearest we come to. And, but for a book, the pregnancy is a huge pregnancy. At least for me it is.
But it attaches
I don't write in a hurry. It might take me 5 years to study a subject. And unless I've completed, at least to my satisfaction, my study, I don't begin writing.
And that's why I ask you this question as to where would you look, how would you look at Kashmir? It's going to elections. Would you see, of course it saw floods and severe situations, but how would you look at the recent Kashmir?
Kashmir is changing, as dramatically as anywhere else. And you will find very interesting results this time. You will see it. The young are not what we imagined them to be. Right? The young want the same things as any other Indian. They want jobs. They want a place, of liberty. They want, they don't want to be clamped by social inhibitions. Right? And they are looking...
Are you hoping this election would again throw some new kind of, insights into how Kashmir is...
Absolutely.
Today?
Every democratic election is a major collage. I don't talk of it as a snapshot, but a major collage representing change. And this Kashmir election will also be that. Of course, one change you will see is this government is going to lose.
I thought as much that you are going to say that. So last thoughts, as we are, and I think talking to you is a pleasure really, and we would have talked more. But let's talk about your quest, Mr. MJ Akbar, in life.
My quest in life? My quest in life at the moment is basically to do what I'm told.
Obediently. Thank you so much for talking to us. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And that was Mr. MJ Akbar for you, talking on a range of issues. Hope you like this particular edition of The Quest. Keep watching. Bye-bye.